Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I'm back with a review slash thought, or should I say like a double review slash thought on two shows that I finished watching this week. The first one I'm going to be talking about is Star Wars: The Acolyte. If I'm saying the name correctly, it's Acolyte, and I just finished season 2 of Star Trek Picard, and I want to give my review slash thoughts on both of those shows that I just finished watching. And for parents out there, if you're curious, just in case, the Star Wars: The Acolyte is rated TV-14 here in the U.S. here, and Star Trek Picard season 2 is rated TV-MA here in the U.S. as well. And if you want to skip to any parts of this video, timestamps will be in the description down below. But we'll start off with the first one, which has to do with the Star Wars: The Acolyte, if I'm saying the name correctly though. Now, in terms of Star Wars content on Disney Plus and all, I would say so far it's been pretty good, and there have been some good Star Wars shows on Disney Plus. The Mandalorian remains one of my personal favorite. I definitely enjoyed that series the most, though. I also did enjoy Book of Boba Fett. I thought that was pretty good. And I did enjoy the Obi-Wan Kenobi, the first season, although I do feel like they could do a second season if they wanted to. And I thought Asuka, basically, I mean, that wasn't bad or anything like that. There was some moments I thought that were neat, but obviously a lot of it is I would have to watch Star Wars Rebels to understand most of the stuff. But for the most part, I will say I do think Disney Plus or Lucasfilms has done a good job with putting some Disney shows on Disney Plus and everything like that. So this new one that they brought in, the Acolyte, basically is an interesting one, as this one starts exploring the Old Republic and everything like that. And while after finishing watching the first season and everything like that, I would say I kind of feel like this is sort of the weakest of the Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, at least from my view though. I do think there were some neat moments, but for me though, it just didn't come back as strong as basically some of the other shows or other Star Wars shows that Disney Plus has on there. So I'm going to break it down into what I like and what I didn't like, mixed or not 100% sure. So in terms of what I like in terms of the Acolyte, I will say I do like the idea of exploring, the Old Republic and everything like that. I like this idea of exploring how things were, before before Episode 1 happened, maybe, going in there, seeing, like the start, the dark side of the Force, the light side and everything like that though, with the Jedi and maybe the beginning of, the Sith and everything like that. I think that concept is really neat, and I would hope maybe sometime down the road, or maybe Lucasfilms and others will maybe explore a bit more of the Old Republic and everything like that. So I do like the concept and the idea that Acolyte was trying to aim for with basically Star Wars Acolyte. And I do think some of the fight scenes were kind of neat here and there. And there were some interesting scenes, though. The lightsaber battles obviously are the favorite, at least in my view. And it was nice to see a Wookiee Jedi and everything like that. So there were certainly some neat fight scenes and all. And they were kind of cool and everything like that. As far as what I didn't like, mixed or not 100% sure about, I have to say the story, I think, is probably the weak point for me though. I just didn't feel the story was just as interesting as I was hoping it would be and everything like that. I mean, again, like I said, I like some of the ideas of exploring the Old Republic, but I didn't feel like I was being pulled in to really be interested in what they were trying to tell a story about, compared to, say, The Mandalorian or Obi-Wan Kenobi and Asuka and those kind of stuff. I felt like the stories were good enough that they pulled me in, that I really want to sit down and maybe, feel like one of those shows you definitely want to binge watch and everything like that. I just didn't feel that with this new Star Wars series and everything like that. And finally, I would say none of the characters I felt like are memorable or anything like that. I mean, there may have been one with, who was wearing that very creepy mask and everything like that. But in the end, I just didn't feel like any of the characters was just memorable or anything. I just felt like they were forgettable at its best. So I just didn't feel like none of the characters stuck out to me though. Overall, I would hate to say this though, but I just felt like this was probably one of the weakest Star Wars shows I've seen on Disney Plus or anything like that. There are some neat moments, but I just feel like it just doesn't reach the height the way The Mandalorian or Obi-Wan Kenobi or even Asuka did. I mean, even Asuka had some pretty good moments, including some dark moments with Grand Admiral Thrawn. I just didn't feel that with this show and I feel like that. At its best, again, I like the idea of exploring the old Republic and everything like that, and some of the fight scenes were neat, but at its worst, I just don't think the story was that good, at least in my book it wasn't, and none of the characters are memorable though. It's really a shame because I do think they have a really good concept with this show. It just doesn't reach the height as I would like it to be, and given the fact that they have canceled after season 1, it's basically we're not going to get a season 2. And again, I think it's a little disappointed. I like the idea of exploring the more of the old Republic, but obviously this show didn't click with everybody out there and all. And it'll be interesting to see how long Disney will keep it on Disney Plus, or when they decide to eventually pull the show off Disney Plus and everything like that. So overall, I would say not the strongest Star Wars show on Disney Plus, at least in my book, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our second part of our double review. In this one, I want to give my thoughts on Season 2 of Star Trek Picard. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my double review, and for this one, I'm going to be taking a look at Season 2 of Star Trek Picard, which I just finished watching everything like that. Now, the whole idea of exploring with Star Trek Picard was, him retiring from Starfleet and everything like that. I thought it was a really neat idea, especially with Season 1, which basically does acknowledge some of the events from 2009's Star Trek, which kind of acted like a reboot, and it showed, Romulus being destroyed by the sun and everything like that. But what I also thought was interesting was exploring a bit of more of, Data and all, who I think for those who saw, the movie Star Trek Nemesis, or I think it was either Nemesis or Insurrection. I'm not sure what the name was, but whatever the case was, it was basically, Data died in that Star Trek movie and everything like that. So I thought season 1 was very interesting. I like how it explored Data and all. So I finally got a chance to finish watching season 2 of Star Trek Picard, and I will say I enjoyed it, just maybe not as much as season 1 and everything like that though. But there were certainly some neat moments about it. I thought there were some interesting things that I did like and everything. So with like with the Star Wars Acolyte, I'm going to be breaking this down into what I like and what I didn't like, mixed. Not 100% sure about. In terms of what I liked about season 2 of Star Trek Picard though, I will say it was nice to see John de Lancie, if I'm saying his name correctly, play Q again. It was really nice to see him again play that role, even if this is the last time we do see him play that role though. He's been sort of like an adversary in Star Trek The Next Generation, and I think he made some appearances in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and I think maybe Voyager to a certain extent. But in either case though, it was nice to see him play that role again, and play somewhat of a part in basically season 2 of Star Trek Picard. It was sort of interesting to see John Luke kind of shocked to see Q again and everything like that, especially when there was one scene where it showed the young Q and then he morphed into the old Q and everything like that. So it was really nice to see him play that role again though. The next thing I do want to talk about is that one thing about season 2 I did like is that there were some hidden Easter eggs here and there that I thought was really interesting that they put in there, and I thought it was kind of neat though. Two that I could point to, I think it's the end of season 2. Adam Shulk, if I'm saying the name correctly, was holding up a project referring to Khan, which I'm sure any Trekkie fan will recognize. He was sort of the main villain, or one of the villains that would take on, Captain James D. Kirk in the Star Trek series, and of course in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan and everything like that. He was also, I think, the villain in Star Trek Into Darkness and everything, the second entry in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek trilogy, and to even the one scene when they were on the bus and everything like that, one of the persons was holding up a boombox that was blasting too loud and everything like that. And then when one of the crew members decided to tell him to tone it down and everything like that, he kind of freaked out. Basically, I like how they made him sort of remembering that references from Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, when Kirk and Spock were on the bus. He was he was a younger him blasting the radio. Spock did that, that little neck thing and shut him up and everything like that. So it was really neat to see some of those references there. And it was nice to see, also Whoopi Goldberg's character make an appearance in basically in the second season. So there were certainly some nice Easter eggs that they put in there for season 2 of Star Trek Picard. And last but not least, though, I thought the time-traveling alternate reality approach was kind of interesting that they decided to take that approach with Season 2. It was sort of neat when they traveled to like an alternate timeline where, the Federation doesn't exist, but a Federation version of like an authoritarian-like approach was there in terms of like conquering other planets and everything like that. So it was certainly a interesting approach that he took with season 2, and I thought it was kind of neat to a certain degree and all. As far as what I didn't like, mix, or not 100% sure about for season 2 of Picard is this. While I definitely thought the time traveling approach was interesting, I just didn't think the story was nearly as strong as season 1 that evolved Data or everything like that. It wasn't that season 2 was bad, I just didn't think it was as good as season 1 to a certain degree though. So, to me, I would say season 2, in terms of the story though, kind of mixed to a certain degree. The other thing is that while it was nice to see Q again in basically season 2, I felt that his role in season 2 was kind of minor to a certain extent. He did make an appearance in a couple episodes, but I just felt like I thought he would play a much bigger role in this one, at least how I saw it and everything like that. So it was nice to see Q, but it's just wasn't nearly as wasn't nearly as much as I was going to see him in season 2 and all. And last but not least, I will say I am kind of mixed on the other villain in season 2, Adam Shong, played by Brent Spiner, who of course will play Data. To be exact though, I was kind of mixed on him being the villain and everything like that. Didn't really click, just wasn't really as big of an adversary as I thought it would be. There were some neat moments, including the end of season 2 when he's holding up a file referring to a project that would be known as, Khan and everything like that. But I just didn't think he was a great villain or anything like that, or a memorable villain in the Star Trek universe or anything like that. Overall, I would say Star Trek Picard season 2, I don't think it was terrible or bad, just maybe not as strong as season 1 was in my book. At its best though, it was nice to see Q again and everything like that, and the actor that played Q. I thought the time traveling and alternate reality approach was interesting, and there were some nice Easter eggs here and there that they put in for season 2. So I thought that was really great. But at its worst, I felt, although the story was good, I just didn't think it was as good as season 1 involving Data, at least in my book. I felt Q sort of kind of took a back seat to a certain degree in season 2. I thought he was going to play a much bigger role, and at least in my book, I don't think he did. And I'm very mixed on Adam Song or something like that. I just didn't think he is a good villain or anything like that, or just mixed on him being the villain for season 2. But in either case, though, it was not bad. Season 2 of Star Trek Picard wasn't terrible, just not as good as season 1 and all. So I'll probably look forward to seeing how season 3 is going to play out. I've heard some good things about it, but when I get a chance, I'm going to be watching season 3 of Star Trek Picard when I probably watch it sometime this week and everything like that when I get the chance and all. But overall, I would say kind of mixed on season 2 of Star Trek Picard and all. Okay, this concludes my double review of Star Wars, the Acolyte, and season 2 of Star Trek Picard. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the Star Wars, the Acolyte show, though? Do you think the show was just bad or anything like that, though? Did you actually enjoy the show? Were there things about that show that you liked or didn't like? What about season 2 of Star Trek Picard? Did you get a chance to watch that? Do you think season 1 was better, or season 3 for that matter? Did you like the idea that they brought Q back or anything like that? Were there some high and lows about season 2 of Star Trek Picard that you liked or didn't like? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal Me or Patreon or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, so you watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye.